How you doing, Tony? Happy birthday. How are you?
Well, thank you very much. I appreciate the kind birthday wishes.
Yes, I actually have a little birdie in my ear. How about that?
Wow. Did an alien tell you that it was my birthday?
Not quite, not quite. But then again, you have to ask your staff. So yes.
Most of them are aliens, by the way. First of all, thank you so much because I've got such a love for the subject of have we been visited and what is humanity all about? And I think your show, Ancient Aliens, takes such a wonderfully open scientific approach to this question. I mean, it's not like the Von Däniken stuff that was, in the 70s and early 80s. This is really a lot of scientific research, isn't it?
Yeah, no, look, and thank you very much because, the whole topic of ancient aliens, sometimes people are like, oh, come on, what are you talking about? You are undermining the human ingenuity of our ancestors by suggesting that we've had help from extraterrestrials. Well, I'm here to tell you that is incorrect because every single person that is alive today is the product of one thing, and that is education. Your parents were your first teachers. They taught you how to speak, they taught you how to walk, and then you go to kindergarten, and then you go to elementary school, and then high school, and if you so choose, you go to university. But even if you don't go to university and you choose to exercise some sort of a profession, well, you're not going to walk into your profession on your first day and immediately know what to do. Every step of the way in our lives, we are surrounded by one thing, and that is teachers. Our parents, then our kindergarten teachers, our professors in school, this and that, and then our instructors at our individual jobs. So to say that we could have come up with everything through our own human ingenuity is nonsense because not a single idea is born out of a vacuum. So all I'm suggesting is that a long time ago, the first humans had help from some teachers. And it was a benevolent, wonderful thing to do. It was nothing to be afraid of. It means not that our ancestors were idiots and only because of aliens they figured it out. No, it's because we too are always surrounded by teachers. So the idea that we've had help at some point is actually quite logical.
Where did you get this love and this passion from? I mean, did something happen as a kid? I mean, did you read those same books I did and just say, wow, this is going to be my life?
Well, so when I was 14, I discovered the books by Erich von Däniken, and I immediately fell in love with the idea and the whole adventure of archaeology, perhaps having to do something with extraterrestrials. Because I grew up in the 80s. I'm a child that grew up with Indiana Jones and E.T. and Star Wars and all these things. But when I was in my younger years, when I was between 7 and 8, my grandma thought it was a good idea to switch up the bedtime stories. And sometimes she would read Edgar Cayce's Atlantis to me. And so she is the one that planted the seed fairly early, and I thank her every day. And I thank my parents, because my parents too, this topic, believe it or not, was dinner table conversation at our house growing up in Switzerland.
Do you think that a lot of people, I mean, and when I say a lot of people, a good portion of people have been touched by either family stories of extraterrestrials or just some kind of encounters that they've had?
Look, I cannot tell you how many. One of the most rewarding experiences of my line of work is when people, complete strangers, come up to me at a convention or sometimes also in the street, and they want to share a story with me. Either they've seen something up in the sky, or in some occasions, there are some people who have come up to me to confide an actual abduction story where they claim that they have been abducted by extraterrestrials. And I am aware that many of these stories are made up. However, to suggest that any and all of these stories and that any and all of these people are liars that makes no sense, because when you look at these people into the eye, sometimes you can see that their physical behavior is changing. Their breathing changes, it goes faster. Their lips start trembling, or in some occasions they actually start crying. I don't think that reaction would happen if something didn't happen to these people. So we would be all very remiss to suggest that any and all of these eyewitness accounts and experiences are all just made up, because then we have no grounds to interact with each other at all when eyewitness reports too all of a sudden no longer are true.
You know, what's wondrous to me is the fact that, this, and of course this is what your show's all about, is when you go into history and you find writings or drawings or, that griot in Africa talking about the time when these gods came down. This is peppered through history, and it's peppered a lot.
No, absolutely. And, it doesn't matter what ancient culture you go to as far as a creation story is concerned. And, I'm tired of being told, oh, you guys only talk about the people from Africa and the people of South America, when in reality, the entire, for example, Greek pantheon of gods, or the Scandinavian Norse mythology pantheon of gods, those are all based on ancient astronaut concepts of misunderstood technology, where flesh and blood extraterrestrials visited our ancestors. And again, not just in South America, not just in Africa, all around the world, including Europe, and there, all these references of these gods descending from the sky are rooted in reality. Our ancestors thought they were gods, when in reality they were nothing else but space travelers that our ancestors thought were divine. Not because our ancestors were stupid, but because our ancestors' technological frame of reference was not the technological frame of reference that we have today. Misunderstood.
As you've been doing the show, has there been a moment where you yourself have kind of gotten goosebumps over something that was revealed or found?
Yes, absolutely. So 10 years ago, you could have asked me about modern-day UFOs or crop circles, and I would have told you, that's not really my topic. My UFOs happened in remote antiquity. Today, the modern-day UFO phenomenon, and especially the crop circles, are one of my favorite topics, because I now know that there's a difference between fake crop circles and real ones. The fake ones, the ones that are made with wooden boards, you can find out immediately by just looking on the ground how it was done by boards. The real ones, the nodes between the stalks of wheat, sometimes are elongated by as much as 300%. The nodes have been grown larger by 300%. That is not something that occurs naturally in nature. So how is that done? And my colleague, Dr. Elcho Hasselhoff, has suggested that these nodes were exposed through big bursts of some type of plasma. So you tell me where that plasma came from.
Well, like I said, these are questions that it's almost like it is dealing with a religion in some sorts, because you have to have a certain amount of faith, as well. I mean, there is tons of evidence. But the argument on both sides is, you get into these moments where you just can't.
Yeah, no, I don't have any faith in any of this. This is not a religion. It has nothing to do with belief. You can look at the evidence and either agree with it or not, but to say that I don't believe in aliens, I know they exist, I'm convinced, because the word belief, as you said, it has a religious connotation, it requires faith. I don't pray to aliens, I don't theorize whether they exist or not. I am convinced they exist, otherwise I would not be sitting here. So, and I want people too to think that when they talk about aliens, that they're not believers. This has nothing to do with God. This has something to do with potentially having received developmental help on Earth by extraterrestrials, just like we one day in the future, if we encounter intelligent life, but technologically speaking, they're still a bit primitive, what will we do? Will we just stand back and watch, or will we teach them a couple of things? And the answer is, of course, we'll teach them a couple of things, because the prime directive is a science fiction invention by a sci-fi writer whom I love very much, Gene Roddenberry, but reality is a bit different than a Star Trek novel.
Yeah, it is. Hey, before I let you go, you said you're a child of the 70s and the 80s. Tell me what your favorite movies are. When you go see a movie about aliens, do you just got to go, oh, well, yeah, they got it wrong, or do you get involved in movies?
Well, I wouldn't say that movies have it wrong and stuff, because all these movies, in my opinion, are what they're there for entertainment. So there is no sci-fi movie out there that I would consider a documentary. But no, I grew up on Raiders of the Lost Ark, Temple of Doom, and Empire Strikes Back, and Return of the Jedi. Those are my four, go-to movies that I think by now I've seen, 100 times each, as so many others.
Well, listen, I appreciate your time. Again, it is Ancient Aliens on the History Channel, and my gosh, you've been doing this for a while, haven't you?
This is our 10th year. Our first episode came out in 2009, and nobody predicted this. So I want to thank the worldwide audiences, our viewers, for keep tuning in, because without you guys, we would not be here. So my heart goes to you.
Thank you so much for your time, and enjoy the convention, and enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you, Tony. Great appreciation. Thank you.